Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to work on the muscles of the leg. What I've done is done the refined contour line and actually gone, and I'm in the process of going back over and seeing if I've missed anything. Some of the parts of the drawing will be completed through the actual shading or value part, so it's not necessary to complete everything. The way I've calculated and discovered where things are located, I first did the silhouette of the leg, making sure that the height to width relationship was correct. 1, 2, once I was satisfied with that, I used the coastline and angle shifts in order to map out the different groups. So for instance, the beginning of this line here to the end, and that basically started creating this shape in here. So I went throughout the coastline. Anytime there was an angle shift, I made a mark and I suggested that line whatever direction it was going in on the inside of the form. I did that first on the coastline on both sides. Once I had that, then I went and got key markers. So the patella, you know, wherever there was, again, some sort of angle shift on the inside, I used that as a way of beginning the muscle or ending it. So for instance, I drew this line in here, then I calculated this marker here and this marker here. So that is where that muscle group is going to eventually attach. And you can see that it comes in and eventually attaches to the tendon, which is attached to both the bone and the patella to give it that ability to move up and down. Then once I've got that, then I would go up to the top part, and in this case here, it's just over here. So I would measure in and find and measure up to find that. Usually like little gaps like this are a good way of also indicating. So starting off with the most obvious and then slowly you're working your way down. So the phalanges down on the foot are the last things that I approached, and still some of them are a little bit vague. Once I've done that, then I would go back in with my kneaded eraser and just soften up the lines. That way my lines are more neutral. And now I'm just going to go ahead and just walk through this drawing one more time and see if I've gotten the information that I need. So for instance, over here, I don't have where the muscle actually attaches to the tendon part. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of scan through my drawing and just make any corrections that I haven't made to this point. So I'm paying attention to line direction to try to create and mimic what is going on. I would also recommend that you go ahead on the internet and print out or look up what it looks like from an anatomy book. And I will go ahead and do a screenshot of that as well, just to give you guys an idea of what I was working off of. in order to get this final result. So hopefully I was able to do that accurately, and so things make sense. Okay, so I think I've gotten most of what I need. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys now the screenshot of the leg, so you guys can get an idea of what I'm working off of. Maybe. Okay, so I've done a couple of screenshots of the leg, so you can review that at your leisure. And now we're going to start building up the values. So my initial idea is to go ahead and just put a base coat. I'm going past the edges, so I'm doing exactly what I would do if I was drawing the figure. And then I'm going to clean it up using my kneaded eraser. And I'm going to try to make a flat value, so there's not going to be any line direction. So my goal is just to make a base coat. And then once I've got it close to that value, then I'll go in the direction that the muscle's going in. And you can see here there's quite a bit of value, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that over the whole thing. Okay, so I may need to use my angled eraser, so this is going to give me cleaner lines. The thing to note here is that it leaves a residue, so you're going to need to clean up your drawing and make sure all the residue is gone before you go back in and start developing again. So I'm going to jump into a 2B, and then I'm going to start just going in the direction of the actual muscle. Start lightly suggesting. And in some parts it's pretty vague, so. And again, I'm always going to go past that edge. And I'm going to probably go back, well, I will go back and refer to the master copy, which is the anatomy book, because when I did this drawing, you know, I don't want to assume what I've done was 100%. So I'm going to go back and always look at the master to be the default. So you can actually see that I've done some cross hatching as well. So initially I'm going to go in the direction, and then from there I'm going to cross hatch and try to understand what is actually happening. So it's not just one muscle group or mass of muscle, it's a series of muscles all just combined together. Okay, so I've done a few passes now. I'm going to now just see how I can darken things down. I also want to pay attention to the muscle groups. So which way is it going? And then take my eraser and bring out a little bit of the lights, like so. But because it's on the darker side, what I'm going to do is then go back over it. So I keep the variation between the values, but I also make it look like it's in the darker side of the leg. And I may end up having to do that a few times. Depending on how sharp I want it, I will either use the kneaded eraser. So the kneaded eraser will be, I can probably control it a little bit better. And again, I would do that several times until I get the effect that is occurring over on the master. So if I look at it over here, I see that it's a little bit too light. I am doing cross hatching now in order to create this idea that it is flowing in a certain direction. And then the final stage, so I'm going to go ahead and clean up where the tendons are, anything that's white. So wherever I've gone over that value, I just want to spend a little bit of time. So in here, for instance, along here, just make that edge nice and clean. and then look and see, like right around here, you know, this fascia is going over the muscles. So it is creating shadow patterns. As you can see, I'm slowly building on top of it, and I've probably said this a few times as well. Clean up, clean up, clean up, and then the last mile, the last part of your drawing is the hardest part, and it's the time where little things are what finish the drawing. So we need to go back in and just make sure that we are getting all the points that are required in order to make this drawing look complete. And that's like cleaning up your lines, cleaning up your edges, making sure that the values are reading correctly, that it is looking like it's turning around, so this peak in here could catch a little bit more light, maybe even a little bit here. Then if it gets too bright, you go back in, you put the wash back in. And you repeat until you get the right kind of consistency. Come back in, a little bit of light here, a little bit of light here, a little bit of light here. Clean up the edge here. And little by little, you get to the end. But each stage is contributing to reaching that goal. So it's important, one, that you are able to recognize, two, that you're able to execute it. So make sure that, you know, you look at your drawing, you evaluate what is going on, and that your drawing is moving forward and has all the components that are required to make it look believable.